to be recording this presentation, and I will put it onto the YouTube account, the YouTube channel, so that way you have it for you to be able to show your teachers, your team, your school, whatever. So first off, please just make sure you mute yourself, so that way, because we do have 100 people, we don't want to have so much fluff around so everyone can hear the content. Okay? All right. So first things first, my name's Kelsey. I'm a 5th grade teacher, but now I'm a 4th grade teacher in Klein ISD. There's my Twitter, my Instagram, and my YouTube. I'm actually, Natalie, will you post the bit.ly?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, perfect. So you can have this entire presentation through that bit.ly. And I'm not gonna take time to show all those videos because that's just not time that I wanna waste. So the presentation actually has the videos in there that you can see, but for now we're just gonna go through Schoology and be able to make y'all familiar with the program. Okay, so back to me. I'm Kelsey Amaya. I'm a 5th grade teacher in Klein ISD. I'm actually moving to 4th grade this year. And there's my Twitter, my Instagram, and my YouTube channel. And then my partner is Natalie Skabinski. She is a 5th grade teacher. She teaches math, science, and social studies. And there's all of her information as well. If you have any questions during this presentation, use the chat because Natalie's going to be monitoring the chat for me. So that way she can answer questions while I'm doing the presentation. And if there's questions that have not been answered by the end, then we'll take time for questions as well. Okay?
Yeah, so guys, please wait to ask some questions because we might cover it throughout the presentation because it becomes a lot. So if we don't cover it, or if you have a question about something she just said, then you can ask me and I'll try and answer it.
Exactly, exactly. Okay, next thing, we always like to do this. We like to know where y'all are from. Where are you viewing this presentation from so we can see all of the cool places that everyone's at? So just use the chat and put your where you're viewing it. Okay.
Chris,
South Carolina. Oh, I was born in Alabama.
Arizona.
Cleveland, Ohio.
PA.
Huntsville, Alabama. That's where I was born. Very cool. Lots of Huntsville, Alabamas.
I know, right? Florida. Mississippi.
Very cool. Mobile, Alabama. Awesome.
Shepherd,
okay,
Texas.
Very cool. Well, we're glad that y'all are here with us. Sorry we could only do 100 people, but I'm glad this 100 got in. It's just, it was the free way of using Zoom is just with the 100 people that we had. So welcome. This is just going to be an overview of Schoology. I'm going to show you just how to access everything in Schoology, what I would suggest doing first when you get your Schoology course, and just some tips and tricks along the way. So if you're going to get into Schoology, go to your Schoology right now and log into your Schoology course. So that way you can follow along with us. So the first thing that you're going to have is when you pop up with the Schoology, you're going to have your home screen. And your home screen is going to look somewhat similar to what mine looks. There might be a little bit of changes, but for the most part, it's the exact same as what mine looks like. So you'll have recent activity. This is where if you have anybody adding to the updates of your courses, if there's anybody that adds anything to a discussion, this will pop up on your updates for your recent activity. You also have over here upcoming. So you can see all the upcoming events or upcoming assignments that are for those courses that you are in or that you are teaching. So this is also the way that the students will look as well. They will have an upcoming over here that has the assignment, and they could actually click the link that the assignment is linked to without even having to go into their Schoology courses, and it'll take them to that assignment. Okay, so that's a really good tool. This is what the students' view will look like for the most part as well. Also on your home page is your course dashboard. This is where you will see all of your courses for the entire year that you are enrolled in. So this is a great place for students to start when they're looking at their courses because they can see all the courses that they are enrolled in for the year. Also, with these courses, you can maneuver them around. If you hold on your course bar, if you hold the Shift tab, you can actually drag these courses around to whatever order you want them to be in. You can also do that through the courses on the tab at the top as well, and I'll show you that as well. But this is just a great starting place for students to be able to see all of their courses they're enrolled in. Next thing is the courses on your top bar. So if you click courses, kids are going to have, especially younger kids, they're going to have a hard time figuring out what course they have to click for what thing. Because remember, kids are going to have a course for math, a course for science, a course for social studies, a course for language, a course for reading, the 5 core subjects, but they're also going to have a course for all their extracurriculars, math. They're going to have a course for PE. They're going to have a course for art. So you're looking at kindergartners. If you're a kindergarten teacher, you're looking at kindergartners having 8 classes that they have to flip through. So that's a lot of courses to be able to differentiate which one they have to go to. So my suggestion would be to, when students get logged into their courses, I would have like a Zoom meeting or some type of meeting where they can go in with their parents, they can click their courses, they can go over to my courses, and they can reorder their course. So they can reorder these courses however they want, and I would suggest moving all the most important ones to the very top, because you don't want any of the course subjects to be under this course drop down, because that means that when the kids click courses, they're not going to see those courses right there on their dashboard. Okay, so that's what would be my suggestion for courses to get them familiar with it, is to move all 5 to 8 courses that they need to be the first 8 on their dashboard. Okay, so that's where you find, or kids find, their courses. The next thing is groups. Groups, you can create as many groups as you want. So we have a group for 5th grade. We have a group for our reading teachers. And we also created a group for our social studies. But you're able to create groups for, maybe your team wants to have a group where they can collaborate. Maybe your school wants to have a group that they can collaborate. It's just a great way to add in different items into a group that others can use in their own course. So that's what groups are. And resources. Resources are a great place to house all of your resources that you create for other teachers to be able to then take and use in their courses. So when you're on the resources, so if I have this resource right here that I want to use in my classroom and I didn't want to create it again, I would just hit the gear and I would hit add to course, and I can add it to my practice course. I can change all of the settings, and then I'll hit add, and it would be in my course when I go back to that practice course. So this is great. This is also a great tool for collaboration between team and between schools. Okay, the next thing on your toolbar is the search. You can search anything in Schoology. If you're trying to look for something or look for a student's work, you can search it in there. Apps. Now for apps for our district of Klein ISD, our district actually gives us the apps, so we're not able to add apps based on what we want in our classroom. Our district gives us those, but some districts might allow you to add apps to your Schoology course. So if you have that accessibility, on the bottom right here will say App Store, and you can click on that, and there are hundreds of apps you can choose from to connect with your Schoology course. So this is a great tool to connect other websites as well. The calendar is a great tool, and students will have access to the calendars as well. This is great for if you want to see the entire month for your course, or if there's an assignment, or your parents want to see what's going on for the week that's due. They can actually see the calendars as well, and they can see what's going on in the course, when something is due. So it's a great way to keep kids accountable and also keep parents informed about what's going on in the classroom. Now, as I was saying, If you're in multiple courses, so if your students have 8 courses that they want to see all of the calendars on one page, they can go up to here and you see where it says one of 32 calendars. That means I'm enrolled in 32 courses. Wow, that's a lot. I'm enrolled in 32 courses. So if I hit this down arrow, I can click on any of these courses and the items that are due will pop up on this calendar. So obviously there's nothing due in these courses, but if there was something due in them, they would pop up on this calendar for students to be able to see. So that's just a great way to keep parents informed of what's happening in the classroom. Okay, also you have on this bar up here is the message capability. So you can actually message students straight from Schoology instead of having them have to go ask their parents to email you and then you have to figure out what they want to email. You can just have students message you directly from Schoology, so it pops up on yours. And you can also message students as well if you want to give them feedback on an assignment, if you want to let them know that their assignment is due today or whatever. So you can message and you can actually, in your message, for those younger students that maybe can't read the message, you can use this microphone and you can record an audio recording of yourself giving the message, or you can give an audio and video recording where you can see, it's not going to work because I'm on Zoom, but where you can see, the student can see and hear your voice with that recording, and you can send it to them through messaging. So that's a great, great feature to use in Schoology. And then the last thing on your notifications bar is actually your notifications. So this is where you will go to see maybe somebody submitted their work or added to a discussion. These notifications will pop up just like on like Facebook or Twitter. It's just like that with the notifications. Okay, that was a lot already. So when you get your Schoology course and when you get your Schoology profile, I would suggest going over to where it has your name, hitting the down arrow and going to profile. When you get your Schoology, you want to change your profile to be a picture of yourself or your Bitmoji like I have, and you want to also add a short bio, because the reason is there might be 2 Kelsey Amayas in Klein ISD. I don't want to send my stuff to somebody that maybe that's not the right Kelsey Amaya. I want to make sure that that is the correct person. So I need to go look at their profile and their picture to see, okay, that is the correct person that I need to send stuff to. So that is just my suggestion, is to do your all about me and also your contact information and changing your profile picture. So that way other educators know who they're sending stuff to, because you don't want to send something to someone and it not be the person that you were supposed to send it to. To change your profile picture, you'll just hover over your profile picture, hit edit picture, and you can attach any file that is downloaded on your computer. So let me change, I'll just change it to this one so you can see it. And see, it changes right there. And you don't even have to hit save or anything. It just changes automatically. So this is just a great way to keep kids knowing that, okay, that is, or keep teachers knowing that that is Kelsey Amaya that I want to send it to. Let me send it to her right now, okay? Also on your profile, you can see updates. So if you wanted to post an update, you can post an update from your profile and it'll pop up on the student's homepage as their recent updates. You have a blog option where you can actually start and create a blog in Schoology. You have this portfolios option. You can upload new things that you've created to digital portfolios. Students have this option as well. So if you're worried about I'm not going to be able to keep anything that my students do digitally in a portfolio, no. You can actually have a digital portfolio in their Schoology profile where they can add things that they've created to it. And then when you click that student's name, you'll be able to see all of the things that they've created and added to their digital portfolio. So I, as a teacher, am going to use this one next year. I didn't use it a lot last year, but I am going to definitely use this portfolio option next year for sure. And then the last thing is badges. I did post something on the Facebook page about the badges and how to create those, but this is just a great place for students to go and show their parents what they have earned for maybe that week or what they've earned for that unit. It's just a great place to brag about their learning. It's kind of like a brag tag, but digitally. So that's your profile. I would definitely edit this first before doing anything else. Okay, so now let's get into an actual what the course looks like. So you might have had to create your own course, or you might have from your district either a practice course or maybe what's called a sandbox course. So when you're in your practice course, you will see something that looks like this. You're not gonna have like the announcement up or anything like that. Actually, let me just get rid of this so you don't have to see this. So I'm gonna hit remove. Okay, there we go. You'll see something like this, probably with nothing there because you're just starting out. First suggestion I would do is change that course picture. The reason is you have all these kids having all these courses. You don't want them to click on a course for reading, but they're really wanting to do math, but then they can't go and find the math material because they're in the reading course. It just gets very confusing. So as a teacher, what Natalie and I do is the first week of like when we get our Schoology courses, the first thing we do is change those profile pictures. And you can change it to be anything that you create on like a Google drawing. You can download those as a PNG or a JPEG and upload them into your course. You can add your Bitmoji to your course picture. You can add a picture from Google with using the digital citizenship rules with not copywriting, but you can add a picture with Google. So what you'll do is you'll just hover over your picture, hit edit picture, and then attach a file right there. So if I'm attaching a file, I'll just look for a file. Let's see, let's do this one, Meet the Teacher, I don't know. So now it pops up automatically right there as my profile picture. So now when kids go to courses, they'll see this picture right there. Okay, so this is just a great way and a great visual for students. Okay, the next thing I would do is change the notifications on your courses. So by doing that, you would go to notifications and you can change what you want to know somebody's doing or submitting, or it's whatever your preference is. You want to change those to be your preference. So if you don't want to see every time a new user comes into your course, just uncheck that and hit Save Changes. So this is just all what your preference is. I always have like the major ones. So I always have like the tests and the quizzes done. And then sometimes I'll have the comments. If somebody posts a comment on mine, I want to be able to see so I can respond back to them. And then I just hit Save Changes and they're saved. So that way you're not getting 500 notifications to your email and to Schoology every single day that somebody adds something to a discussion post, okay? All right, the next thing, underneath your profile or underneath your course picture is a course options. You can view your course as a student. So if you click that course options, view course as, you can choose a student. So I'm gonna choose it as this one. And you can see what the student can see. This is good for making sure you've published and unpublished everything that you don't want them to be able to see. So if you noticed on my course, this welcome is on my course, but if I go back to this student, you don't see that welcome folder. I didn't want them to see that welcome folder because I'm not done with it yet. So this is great for if you want to add things ahead of time, but you don't want students to see it. You will just be able to see, okay, I'm going to view it as somebody to make sure that they can't see what I'm seeing right now. So that's a great option. The next one is sending a message. So you can send a message, a mass message, to your entire course members. So instead of having to send 55 of the same message to 55 students, you can mass send a message through the messaging tool. So you can just click either all members, admins, if you want to just send it to the teachers in the group, or just the members in the group. You can do the same thing as well with the audio video recording. So you can audio and video yourself with that message for those students that can't read or that need that auditory learning. And you could just hit send. It goes to every single one of your members in your course, and you're done. You don't have to send it multiple times, okay? The next one on this course options, you can edit the info on your course, and then these are gonna be different depending on your campuses and your districts. So that's just some of the course options that I've used in my classroom. Okay, the next thing on this side is the updates. Before we get into materials, I want to talk just a quick second about the updates. Updates is where you can post like what you see down here, your Bitmojis and your fun things. You can post those as announcements. Remember when you do things here. So if I say, welcome to my class, and I want to make it an announcement, I'll just hit that button and hit the bell, hit post. There's my announcement right there. And it also, there was a lot of questions on the Facebook group about why it pops up twice. The reason it pops up twice is because it's still considered an update, but you're just marking it as an announcement. So that's why you're gonna see that welcome to my class up here and also down here. Okay, and then if you wanna delete it, you just hit delete. Okay. Gradebooks are phenomenal. So the gradebooks on Schoology sync to your gradebook for the district. So there's no more having to grade in one area, write it down, and then put it into another gradebook. It all syncs together. And you can also change grades right here in the gradebook without having to go back to the actual assignment of the student. So say if a student has like extra credit for 5 points. You want to add that 5 points straight into the gradebook. All you'll do is if there's a grade right here, you'll just click on it and then you'll just type in 95 because it was a 90. You change it to a 95. It automatically saves. And then you just sync it to your gradebook with that change. So it's very, very easy and a very fluid process. Next thing is the grade setup. You're gonna have to set up your gradebook in Schoology depending on how your district wants you to set it up. But you can add different categories in here, and you can also add rubrics. So this is great for those school districts that have rubrics for like standard-based grading and grading by standards. This is great for them because they can actually just add a rubric like they had on pen and paper and just add it into here. And then they can use it and they can add new criteria. They can add as many pieces of criteria as they want. And they can just hit create and it adds it to the rubrics bar. And so then when you're creating assignments and things that need to be graded, you can just use that rubric instead of having to use a numerical number. So rubrics are great for those teachers that use rubrics in their classrooms. Okay, the next tool is Mastery. We used Mastery a ton last year. So Mastery is great for if you align your items in Schoology to learning objectives. And what it will look like is let me go to a course so you can see a little bit. I think there's only one you can see really quick. Okay, let me go to Mastery. Okay, so here's what a Mastery looks like. So this was a class last year. It has the learning objective up here, and if you hover over it, it'll tell you how many kids exceeded, how many met, and how many did not. And if you scroll down, it'll show you in light green, kind of a darker green, and also there's that red one. It'll show you what students need more help on that TEAC. So the reason I don't have a lot more for my class last year is because I don't have the grade book is already closed, so you won't be able to see. But last year, this entire thing was filled with all of the students and all of the learning objectives. And this is great for if you do like guided groups, or if you need small group instruction, or you're really trying to personalize your learning. This is a great tool to help you with that, because you can also export your summary and export your details to like an Excel file. So it's great to have that data. The next thing I talked about was badges. So to add badges for students, you can just add the badge to their roster, and then to click and add it to them, you would just click it and it would turn green, and that means it's added to their profile. and they would get a notification up here that says, Miss Amaya gave you the positive attitude badge. And then they can say, oh, that's cool. And they can go to their profile and see the badge and what it looks like. So this is really a great tool to keep kids motivated and to help them with like the positivity through the digital learning. Members, this is great because you can actually add members. So if you have a co-teacher or a dyslexia teacher or a speech teacher, and you want them to be able to have access to your courses throughout the year, you can actually add members and make them an administrator to your course. See all of these shields on my course? That means they're an administrator, which means they can add, they can grade, they can comment on material, so they can really see what the students are doing in class when they're not in my classroom. So to do that, once you have a student's name that you want to add as an administrator, you will just scroll over to the gear and hit Make Admin. Once you hit Make Admin, the gear or the shield will pop up that shows that they've become an admin and they have all rights like you as the teacher does for your course. You can also add grading groups to your Schoology. So if you have, like for the first 9 weeks, say you had a pre-assessment that goes, or not the first 9 weeks, let's say the first 4 weeks. Say you gave kids a pre-assessment that got them into groups, like a 1, 2, 3, 4. You can actually add those groups by just clicking on all these kids' names that are part of that group based on the pre-assessment, changing the group name to Group 1, hit Create Grading Group. So now when you're assigning things on Schoology, but you only want it to be that group, you can assign it just to that group. And also students can also be in multiple grading groups. So if you have like somebody that needs this, this, and this, you can add them to multiple grading groups as well. So this just helps with when you're trying to individually assign folders, individually assign assignments to people. You don't want to have to click through all 150 names. You want to just put them into groups. And you can always delete the group at any time. And it's not going to delete the kids. It's just going to delete that group. So they're not going to be in that group anymore. Okay? And then the rest of these are going to be depending on your district. But conferences will be the same for across Schoology platforms. So I personally do not use conferences. I tried using conferences through Schoology, but the problem is that some kids sometimes couldn't get onto Schoology because of the amount of people on Schoology during March through May. So Natalie and I just decided to use Zoom, since that way everyone could get onto a Zoom conference even if they couldn't get onto their Schoology course. But the conferences through Schoology is phenomenal. It still has the whiteboard feature. It still has where you can share your screen. It has where you can break out kids into rooms. So it still does everything Zoom does. But for me, for Natalie and I personally, we just wanted to make sure every student could access the Zoom conferences if they couldn't get onto Schoology because of technical issues. So that's the side of your courses. Now let's actually get into the materials. So I can show you just a little preview of all the materials that are offered in your course. Okay, so if you go to the Add Materials, the first thing I would suggest when you're trying to add materials is I would try to get your courses organized. So if you want to organize your course by topic, if you want to organize your course by learning objective, if you want to organize your course by week or day, I would definitely start making folders first with the organization of how you wanted your course to be organized for the entire year. Because you don't want to have your reading course be labeled with the topics and then your math course be labeled by week. You want to have your courses consistent throughout Schoology, so that way parents and students aren't like, this course was this way, this course was this way, I don't know how to find anything in this. So it's just a great way to stay organized. So to add a folder, you'll just click Add Materials, Add Folder. You'll title the folder whatever you want. So I'm just going to title it Welcome. You can change the color. These are the only colors that Schoology offers, but you can change the color. You can add a description. into the folder. And this is also where if you wanted to add like a picture to your folder, you can go to insert content, image, and attach a file. And you can attach any file. Say I wanted to add, let's just do the newsletter button. Okay, the button's huge. So when you get a huge picture like that, click the picture, hit this little picture frame right here, and you can change the dimensions. I always do 125 by 125 for those squares, and there it is. Okay, so now when I create this folder, remember everything you create goes to the very bottom of your page, and there's my folder right there. Now, if you wanted to move that to the top, you just have to hold your mouse down and move it all the way to the top. I have a lot in here, sorry. Okay, there we go. All right, so now it's moved to the top. And you can also, for your folders, add your Bitmojis. You can add memes. You can add those folder button type things for students to be able to click on. So there's just endless possibilities to customize your course. Okay, the next thing that you want to do for your add materials, the next option you can do is add assignments. There's 2 assignment choices you can choose. You can choose to create an assignment just in Schoology. And what that means is you're not adding a template to your Schoology assignment. You're just adding the assignment where students can submit their own drawing, their own book review, their own Google slide. They have the free reins of creating and adding it to the Schoology option of an assignment. Now for Google Drive assignments, the only difference is that you just hit this Google Drive or the Microsoft OneDrive assignments. You'll just hit that and you'll be able to find the template you want and add that in. So if I wanted to add this one in, I just hit attach file. Notice that it pops up with this will create a copy for each of your students. You don't have to figure out if that's going to create a copy. It automatically does it for you with the Google and the Microsoft OneNote assignment. So that's a great tool as well. You can also individually assign folders, and you can also add your learning objectives to it and then change all of these to be your preference. And then all you do is hit create. Oh, you got to change the name too. I'm just going to put test. You'll just hit create. Maybe. Oh, I got to change the category. Oh, great. Sorry. Okay. Anything else? Create. So now when you have a Google Drive assignment, if I click in here, you'll be able to see these options. You'll be able to see the assignment with the description if you have one. You'll be able to see who is in progress and also who has not opened the assignment. And you'll also be able to see submissions for both of your classes as well, or all 5 of your classes that are linked.
So can I just interrupt 1 second? We're getting some feedback from a specific person. So can everyone please mute your mics? Just check to make sure that you're muted. I don't want to call out people, but.
Oh, no worries, no worries. Okay.
Thank you.
So this is what you will see, and you can actually filter it by whatever you want to be filtered. If you need it to be that still need grading, you can do that as well. Also, when you click on an assignment for a student, you'll be able to see it right here without even having to open the OneNote or the Google assignment. So this is a great way to see students' assignments without having to go into your Google Drive or your OneNote account, okay? The next thing on your add materials is you can add a test or a quiz. Now, for me personally, this is just my opinion. I only use tests or quizzes for like mid-checks or progress monitoring. I don't use test or quizzes for if I'm gonna grade them, because there's more options in the assessment tools for question types. Instead of just the multiple choice and the true false and the short answer, there's actually in the assessments, there's actually places where you can create a drag and drop activity. You can add a graph where kids have to look at a graph for math. So there's just more There's more options in an assessment than
Hello?
in a test or a quiz. So test or quizzes, all you'll do is just name your test, find the scale,
Okay.
add
I'm
the
not even talking.
category, and then you'll just hit create and it'll create it on your screen.
Okay, so muted.
The next thing
And let me see.
is you'll add an assessment.
Where do I go?
Okay.
All
The
right, I got it.
assessment, like I was saying, let me just put a test assessment. There we go. So I'll go to category. I'll ungrade it. You can add as the submissions, you can make the submissions enabled as soon as you publish it or create it. You can add a start time and a due date time on your sections for your test. And then I'm just going to hit create so you can see all the options that are in an assessment. So this is what I was talking about with the assessments. Look at all those question types that you have when creating an assessment. There's only about 4 or 5 in a test. There's about 15 here. So there's just way more opportunities for students to show their work and to show what they know in an assessment. And with an assessment, it gives you a lot more feedback in the reporting because it gives you graphs. It gives you your percentage. It gives you percentage of how many kids did well. So it might say 82% of kids did well. So it gives you a lot more data in your assessments than it does with a test or a quiz. So that's just my opinion. It's not the right way, but that's just what I use in my class is the assessments for all of those major and minor grades that are multiple choice or true false. Okay, the next thing in here is a file link external tool. You can attach anything to Schoology that you have downloaded from your computer by attaching a file. You can add a link to a website. So some teachers were asking about Seesaw. You can add that Seesaw link to your Schoology and be able to have students hit that link and go to their Seesaw account by adding in a link. And you can also add an external tool, which means you can add like your Nearpod or Flipgrid or something like that with the external tool. Okay, the next thing on the material is a discussion. Discussions are great for having your kids discuss and collaborate with one another and just be a classroom digitally. So I'll show you an example that we have for discussions. So in our digital learning folder, we had a 10-day countdown discussion where we had like a funny picture that we added and it had like a prompt. So this one was Wacky Hair Day. So we wanted kids to post their Wacky Hair Day pictures on here. So they were able to post and then we could actually go and reply or like their pictures on here. So this was it's just a great way to get kids collaborating. And you can also use discussions for like exit tickets as well if you have those in your classroom. Okay, the next thing on here is, maybe. There it goes. A page. So pages are not utilized to their full potential on Schoology. Teachers don't use them a lot, but I like to use pages to either give directions in a folder of what kids have to complete and what order to complete. I also use pages for if I have like information about something that I want my kids to know before they start working on their pathway. That's a good place to have it as well. You can add all different types of content in here. You can add images, you can add links, you can add tables, you can add things from your Google Drive, you can add a video. It's just a great place to start your week or your day, starting with a page to really get your students knowing what they have to complete or the topic that they're gonna have to complete. So it's just a really good resource. The next thing is a media album. Media albums, think of a media album as a photo album. So if you have students that have to do paper and pen and then they're gonna have to submit it to you or email it to you, you can create a media album where kids can upload those video or those pictures of their work. They can upload those pictures into a media album so you can see them right there. So it's just, you just have to think of a media album as like a photo album for your class. So we actually use media albums for like our class photos. So like for our Valentine's Day like party that we had, we created a media album with all of our Valentine's Day pictures that we took from our phone, and parents were able to see those as well. And then the rest of these materials are going to be different depending on your campus and your district. But there are apps that sync with Schoology, and our favorites that we use is Edpuzzle and Nearpod. If I just click on a Nearpod and I have things in my library already, it syncs directly to my library from Nearpod. I can find what I'm looking for. I can hover over it. And if I'm going to do either a live lesson or a student paste, you click whichever one. So I'm going to click student paste. And then it automatically embeds in my Schoology. So I see it right there for students to be able to take. All they do is click it. It embeds right there into Schoology. And they can do the Nearpod activity in Schoology. The only thing is that for me as a teacher, if I wanted to get that data, I would have to go to my actual Nearpod account and get that data from the students' work. But they can do all Nearpod and Edpuzzle activities in Schoology. So they're not having to go to another website to do that. Because you really want to make sure that your Schoology allows students to not have to navigate through multiple places. Because then they're going to just get lost in the digital world. So as a teacher, for me, I like to make sure that everything that I do, I try to make it so that they can just access it in Schoology. Okay, and then the last thing I want to show y'all is the student completion rule. This is great for keeping students held accountable for their work. And what you'll do is if you notice on my Schoology, you see like a gray must complete. This will show up on students that says, okay, I need to complete everything in this folder. So if I click this folder, it'll also say must complete. And then it'll also have the student completion rule. And then here it is. It shows that they have to make a submission for all of these. So to get that student completion rule, you'll go to Options, Student Completion, and you can add in the requirements and what the student has to do before they can move on to the next one. Because I always click, they have to complete it in sequential order because I don't want them doing this theme activity before they've done the summary activity. I want it to be in sequential order because the skills get harder and harder. So you can have them completed in sequential order, which means that they won't be able to go on to this character activity until they do the summary and the plot activity and make a submission. So we use student completion rule every single time we have anything in our classroom. And what you'll see when you have students is right where this arrow is, you'll see student completion box. You can click that student completion box and you'll be able to see percentages and your entire class percentages of who's completed what, how much they've completed. And if you click their actual name, you'll be able to see what they've completed in that folder. So that's just a great way as well to make sure that your kids are staying connected and engaged. And also it's great for you to be able to go back to parents and say, I have all this data that your kid's not getting onto my Schoology course. I need them to really get on and get to work on these activities. So this is just an overview of Schoology. There's lots more in-depth things, but I just wanted to take the time to let y'all look at my Schoology course, see all of the elements. Your district might have different elements for Schoology, but for the most part, this is what your Schoology course will look like, and this is how you will be able to navigate throughout Schoology for the new year, okay? All right, Natalie, do we have any questions that are burning?
Yes, so I have some from throughout the thing. So is there a file size limit for the student portfolio, like for them to upload in their portfolios, a file size limit?
No, there's no file limit. They can upload anything that they upload into Schoology, they can upload it to their portfolio. And if they have something saved to their actual computer, they can save that to their portfolio as well.
Okay. And then can other students see students' badges?
Yes. So students actually have a members. They can see all the members in the course. So if they click on this members, they can actually click on a student's name and they can see their profile and they can see like, see, I can see Natalie's stuff. They can see the badges as well. So yes.
I need more badges. Okay, so let's see. Lots of people. Okay, hold. Let me make it bigger so I can see it. Okay, it says, how do we upload a virtual classroom into Schoology? And I let Patty know that she can come to our Bitmoji.
Yes, that will be at
1 and 2.
Yep, 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock Central Time. I'll be showing you how to upload your Bitmoji and all those buttons that you saw on mine to Schoology. Yep.
Okay, and that is on the Facebook page, guys. So if you go to Facebook page, just look down. There's a big long post that Kelsey posted last night. Did you post it as an announcement?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Okay, it's an announcement. So just go to announcements and you'll be able to find the Zoom links for that. How does attendance work? Wendy asked.
Okay, so we have not figured out for our district how attendance is going to work. During our virtual time from March to May, we did not have to take attendance in Schoology. I don't know if there's an attendance. I don't think there's any way to take attendance in Schoology unless you do it based on like student completion and if they've completed it. But you can also, on your Schoology course, if you go to your course, you can see where it says analytics. You can click that analytics. You can see all of your kids. And you can see when they last logged into Schoology and when they last opened something as a material. So that's a way you can see if students are actually getting onto Schoology, but I don't think there's anything in the Schoology platform that takes attendance for you.
Sorry, I was muted. Okay, see, Frank says, I'm a special education teacher. Will my caseload of students access their Schoology and see both my assignments, courses, and their regular? So they'll just see their regular classroom.
They'll just see their regular classroom, and then you as the resource teacher, you can be asked to be added to all of your teachers' courses, so you can actually add work in there. You can see the work from your students that they are submitting. So that's what I would do is I would ask the teachers that have your students to be added as an administrator to their courses.
Okay, and then Bianca, yes, a teacher can upload student work into their portfolio.
Yes.
Yes,
Yep.
they can. Then Ashley asks, have you used Schoology as a behavior plan? I saw the badges for positive reinforcement. What about consequences?
So we don't do anything with consequences for that unless there's something that like there's like cyberbullying or anything like that. We usually just do a phone call home for any behavior issues. We just call home.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Heather and Patty basically have the same question. They haven't gotten their login information. You can make your own account, guys. It's going to be a little different than your district's account, but to play around and add materials, you can absolutely do that. And yes, you should be able to sync it
Yes.
to your districts later. If you have issues with that, I would contact your IT department.
Yeah.
Then yes, Wendy, there is a parent view for Schoology. Whenever they open it up, you should get the information to send to your parents on how they can log on.
And also, like, if you have a parent that has 5 or 6 kids in the district that are using Schoology, like Natalie, she has 3 kids. So she could see where her name is up here. If she has the drop down, it'll show all 3 of her kids right here. And she can click on any of these to be able to see their Schoology courses.
Okay, and then Bianca, is there a way to put new posts to appear on top rather than dragging it all the way? I think you just have to drag away.
Yeah, you have to, unfortunately, all of the things that you post that are new, like all the materials you add to your Schoology course they'll end up on the bottom, and then you just have to drag it to be where you like it to be.
Patty had a really good idea. She said, could you set up a recurring activity with a question to be answered, then use those dates and times for attendance? Absolutely. I would say do a check-in every morning. Have them check in. How are they feeling that day? Something like that. Then you can take attendance that way.
Yeah, you can add, instead of it being like, if you wanted to make it anonymous, where other students can't see the discussion, you can actually create, I don't know if you're a Google school, but you can create a Google form and have students submit their how are you doing through that Google form. And that's a great way that you can take attendance as well, by just linking that form to your Schoology course.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Veronica asks, will it keep a list to show when students sign in throughout the grading period to be able to show parents?
Yes, so that analytics I just showed you, you should be able to see, and once you get all your students in there, you'll be able to give your historical data and be able to see all of that updated information. Yep.
And Wendy, yes, you can communicate with parents through Schoology. Yep. The same if you go to that little envelope, yep. You can type in their name. If they've had logged in, then you can absolutely send them a message there. Can you schedule announcements? Yes.
Yes, you could schedule announcements. Yep.
Okay, will Schoology be able to sync with Office 360 courses?
I am not sure about that, but they should be able to. The OneDrive is Microsoft, so it should be the Microsoft 365. It should be synced. So yes, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, can second graders do this independently? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Parent help? Absolutely. I think second graders could.
Oh yeah, and if you make it very like engaging, and if you also if you create those like clickable items for students at the very top when they get into their course, if you create those buttons at the top when they log in, it's definitely very, very feasible for second grade. And we have teachers in our district that use it in kindergarten. It's just the way that you set it up, and just not having so much stuff in there, and making sure that they only maybe have 1 or 2 folders that they can click into would be very beneficial. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just keep some of your stuff unpublished. If you want to put everything on there, just unpublish things. So Lindsay, once something has become due, does it fall off the main screen? No. Or does it remain there like it does for Google Classroom? I think it remains.
It remains there until, so like are you talking about it getting like deleted from your,
like, you know, whenever you log on, it says like the upcoming assignments.
Oh, it'll say once it's upcoming, if it's past the due date, it'll say late or past due, and it'll still be on the upcoming. Yep. Until they submit it.
Wendy, what do assignments that aren't completed on time look like for students? I think they look the same.
Looks the same, but it'll just say like, it'll have like a late on the top of their assignment.
Okay. Okay, so Patty says, is there another platform that we should pair with Schoology, like Google Classroom or Teams, or should this be all-encompassing for everything? I think it's all-encompassing.
I would suggest keeping with just one platform, because you don't want to get parents overwhelmed with having to go to multiple places. But if you are using like Seesaw, you can totally link your Seesaw to Schoology. You still have kids going through Schoology, but then they can just click that Seesaw like button or link that's on your page, and they can click into Seesaw. But for the most part, I would just stick with having everything in Schoology, because Schoology really is like the one-stop shop for your parents, and it will keep your parents not so flustered with having to find multiple things and places that they have to go.
Yeah. Okay, see Frank, about the special education teacher. So he's asking our courses, the class they're enrolled in. There's a lot of questions here, but let me just answer for him. So if you're a special education teacher and you're coming into the general classroom, you have several students in different classes. Whatever course I teach, so say I teach math and science and social studies. So I have 3 courses. And so my students that are in my class, they have all those courses. So what I would do is I would add you, because you come into my classroom, or you pull students from my classroom, I would add you into all of my courses and I would give you admin rights. So what you would do if you want to add any assignments for your SPED students, you would add them in there. You could have a folder that says, you know, assignments or something, whatever, and then just you would individually assign them to your SPED students. So they're the only ones that will see them. Okay,
and
like she's showing on there.
Yeah, you're the teacher. So if you get administration right, like for the course, you can actually create that grading group that I was showing you, and you can create a grading group with only your students in there. So that way, when you're in the Schoology course for that class, you can just make sure that that is individually assigned to that grading group, and not have to try and find members and find all of the names. You can just click the grading group that you want and individually assign it to that. Yep.
Okay, let's see. Terry, can you, I wonder if that's the Terry that I went to school with. I don't know. Anyway, Terry, can you unsubmit a student's assignment when they do it wrong and they need to be corrected? Yes, you can. Yeah, you just go in there and there's an unsubmit button, you unsubmit it, and then I usually send them a message and say, you know, this is what was wrong or whatever. I'll send, if they need to like correct something, I'll send maybe some hints on what they did wrong, or however you want to do it.
And you can also, like, if it's a Google assignment, you can also make a comment off on their Google assignments that when you unsubmit it, they can go and actually see your comment in Google. So that's just another way to give feedback.
And then Wendy says we use Google Forms for assessments along with quizzes. Will they pull grades into Schoology like Google Classroom did?
No. You'll have to, if you want to use those questions that you created, you'll have to input them as an assessment or a test and a quiz for Schoology to be able to grade it and use that for the gradebook. But you can still use, if you don't want to reinvent, you could still use those Google Forms, add that link for students to be able to do, and then, but you would just have to individually put in the grades into a gradebook.
And then Mrs. Ernst said, do you still use Zoom, or is conference a way to teach synchronous learning?
Natalie and I use Zoom because, just like I said, because some students, there was technical difficulties with Schoology because of the amount of people getting on, and that's the only way they could see Natalie and I for the week. So we always just use Zoom because it's just, I mean, there's Schoology conferences works the same as Zoom. But Zoom is just another platform. So that way, if they're having technical difficulties with Schoology, they can still access the Zoom conferences.
Oh yeah, Haley, I'm so sorry. Or Hallie, you did ask this before and I forgot. Do you have a Parent 101 video I can send to them?
I do not have one, but I can work on one.
You can give you a coffee. So,
yeah, right? I'll write that down right now.
This is a good idea. See if you can. Can you show us an assignment from a student view so we can see how they submit their work, and can they attach work in their assignment? It depends on what kind of assignment is set up. So
yeah, so unfortunately, I do not have any students in my members right now. It shows that I do have students in here, but they're not physically in my class to be able to be graded into Schoology. But all that it's going to look like for students, I can just show you. All it's going to look like, if I go to an assignment, I think I created one, didn't I? Nope. Okay, if I go to an assignment, I'll show you exactly what it's going to look like for a kid. Go to Path 1, add in a Google Drive assignment. I don't know what I'm adding because I'm just looking, sorry, going quickly. Okay, so when students get this, it's going to look like this. So they're going to see what I see right now. They'll hit the Path 1 assignment. This will all be the same except in progress and submissions. They will not see this. All they will see is directions right here, and then they'll see a button that says assignment. They'll click
my document, doesn't it?
Or document, my document. They'll click that My Document button, and then it'll take them to this, this Google slide or the presentation or whatever I added from Google. And then once they're in this assignment, on their screen, it'll pop up like this, and the assignment will be right here. And all they would have to do, there's like a button at the top right here that it's like a square with an arrow. If they wanted to go out of Schoology and actually just get into the main Google Slides or Google Docs document, they can click that. But then there'll be a submit button, a blue submit button that they can go back into Schoology and just hit submit. So everything's going to look exactly the same for students, but they will not have this in progress or submissions. They will have assignment and then document, my document right here.
Okay. What was I going to say? I don't remember. Anyway, Bianca asked if she can add audio video directions. Yes, you can. There's a microphone and a video thing on the bottom of your assignment. Jill, when turning in an assignment, can students submit multiple files for a single assignment?
So it depends on your setup for your assignment. If you're having them submit multiple things, I would make sure that it has the option on your submissions to be multiple. I think there's an option on there. I haven't personally tried it with my class, but in Schoology assignments, I think there's an assignment thing that says they can submit multiple pages. Yeah. But if not, you can always create like a media album, like a photo album. If you didn't want them to submit it, they could just add in, or even add a discussion. They can add a discussion. You can grade those discussions as well for them, and they could just link it into a discussion.
Okay, Jan, can you show us how to set up a conference, please? They can't use Zoom.
Okay, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to show you that in this because I don't have any kids in here, but all you would do is hit conferences. And then you would create a new conference, title the conference name, whatever you want, have the start time. You can set these conferences to be any date that you want. You can add a time, you can add an end time. You'd hit create. And then once this is there, all you would do is start conference and it will pop up. And students on their side will all they'd have to do is go to conferences. They would see this conference and they would just hit join. And they would join the conference. Now, your conferences record in Schoology. So once you finish a conference and end a conference, kids can still go back for 7 days and see the conferences in the platform. Once they hit like completed, they can see the recording of the conference that they missed. So that's pretty much all you do for Schoology conferences.
Are there recurring conferences available?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
Okay, let's see. Okay, we're about to wrap it up, guys. So any last minute questions, please put that in there. Did Schoology keep up with the load of students during lockdowns? Not at the beginning.
Yeah, not at the beginning.
Rough. Not at the beginning. Towards the end, it got better.
Yeah.
So hopefully they're working on that, considering a lot of people are going to virtual learning and a lot of people are going to Schoology. So let's keep our fingers crossed that.
Yeah, it did work like March and the beginning of April were very, very iffy with people being able to log in. But middle of April, we had no issues from then on.
Pamela, for the conference, it would only be the students that are in that course that would be able to join that conference. So if you have 25 students could join.
Exactly.
If you have 30 could join. You can't put students from several classes into one conference in Schoology. So that's the difference with Zoom. We combined both of our homerooms in Zoom when we did ours for distance learning. So that was the difference there.
Yeah.
Okay. Miss Maya's YouTube address is on the bit.ly, the front page of the bit.ly that I just posted the link to again.
It's just my name. It's just Kelsey Amaya.
And then can you delete a completed recorded conference before the 7 days? Probably.
Yeah, all you do is you'll just go to this gear and hit delete.
Mm-hmm. Can you add teachers from other schools into our groups? Absolutely.
Yep.
Anyone in your district you can search for and you can add into groups. I've shared groups and stuff with teachers across the district and like elementary
Well, and even
ed people.
outside of the district, like I have friends inside
Okay.
Fair Amnesty where you can connect with them and share resources as well.
Oh,
across-
sweet.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
all right, 2 more questions.
There's no more questions
Oh,
in there
great.
right now.
Great. Okay, so this was just an overview. I hope I didn't scare anyone. I tried to make it just very, very just straightforward of what your Schoology is going to look like. Sorry I couldn't show what the student view is and all of that because I don't have student access right now. But for the most part, you got a feel of how to maneuver your courses, how to maneuver Schoology, creating things in Schoology. And remember, I'm going to put this onto my YouTube channel so that way